And we are live. We are live. We are live. What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? It is time for some hits and heels, and I am going to make sure that this thing is showing because I'm getting ready. This is getting ready to be good tonight, and I'm going to make sure that it's on and popping. Where we at? There we are, Coach. Coach, I'm getting ready to share us again live.
Okay.
Live with Coach. Live with Coach. Okay, there it is. So listen, y'all. I got to speak for y'all today. So, first of all, if y'all ain't never been on here before, I'm Coach Terry Bryant. I am a football coach. This is the reason why it's named Hits and Heels. Me and my co-host Danny Wright were middle school football coaches. We got introduced by a mutual friend. I got hair in my face. By a mutual friend, and we were just kind of just having a conversation. And we were like, oh, well, our conversation is pretty deep. We should just create a podcast. Well, all this aesthetics and stuff that you see is all Danny Wright. She's the one that's the brains behind all that. I just show up and just talk. And and so we created it, and and so it's just kind of just been involving. But one of the things that I love to do is I love bringing on legends. So I am a member of the Lexington African American Sports Hall of Fame, and their motto is "Where Legends Shine." And so we like being able to showcase people that are legends. And of course, I had the pleasure of becoming friends with DeAndre Hill. Now it's Montgomery. And I can't, it's been years. You were still at Vanderbilt when we met. And so, and we've just stayed in contact just over that because of course at the time I was coaching track at the time. So Coach Hill is a legend. First of all, if y'all see the bio that I printed, right? So she's an Olympian. She represented our country in 1996. Oh my God, it wasn't even 2000. In 1996, in the 100, represented our country. She, of course, she went to the LSU. And so you guys are going to learn that LSU is, matter of fact, LSU leads all sports in national championships. And y'all probably don't know that, but that's a fun fact that y'all getting ready to find out about today, right? And so she went to LSU. She was a 6-time NCAA champion. She was the female athlete of the year. And she was also SEC female athlete of the year 2 years in a row. So when we say we got a legend here, we got a legend, and we're not even playing about. She got the receipts. Go Wikipedia, all that stuff, and look her up because she got the receipts to show that she's her, right? And so we have the pleasure of bringing her on today, and we just y'all get to we're just gonna have a conversation between us because we're friends, and we just gonna let y'all just kind of just
eavesdrop on our conversation.
Conversation today. Coach Hill, thank you for coming on. What's up, sis?
Oh, thank you so much for having me. You was just as good as Steve Harvey. You need to be doing that. I like that. Hold on a second. I'm gonna have to hire you every time I get introduced to something. That's
absolutely. I'll be happy to. I'll be happy to. You deserve it. You deserve every accolade and every recognition. I think that's one of the things that ever since, and I wanted to bring this up later on, but one of the things that even the WA has kind of just brought to light that I think sometimes the people that have kind of paved the way for today's athletes just don't get the credit that they do. There would be no Sha'Carri Richardson. Is it Sha'Carri? There would be no Sha'Carri Richardson if there wasn't DeAndre Hill first that came through there first, right? Am I right or wrong, Coach?
And there wouldn't have been a me unless there was a Don Sewell who held the collegiate champion, the collegiate record for years and years and years before Sha'Carri came and dusted it off. So there's always people that came before us that laid down the groundwork for us to be successful. And it just happened to be that our program, we laid it down for 11 years straight. And so the list of legends and All-Americans and Hall of Famers is just extraordinary.
Yes, Miss 15-time All-American, right? Did I get that number right?
Yep, 15. It's so funny because Um, my senior year, my head coach, Pat Henry, tried to convince me to run the 4x4 at
Woo.
nationals. Now I'm a short sprinter. You know how short sprinters feel about 400s. If you
400.
you got to tell us we have to do it. We ain't gonna volunteer. So
Yeah.
he had called down and was like, "See if she wants to run it." I said, "No,
No,
no, no, no, don't.
absolutely not.
No, absolutely not. No, no. You got 7 other 400-meter people down there. Grab one of them.
Yeah.
They shine. They work just as good."
And they train for it.
And they train for it. Yes. Thank you. Very much so. So yeah, it was a definite joy and a pleasure being a part of that team, especially the one that won the 10. That was something big for us.
That won the 10 championship.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah. I bet that was huge. 10 in a row. Who's done that? No one else has done that.
At the time, North Carolina soccer had won 9 NCAA consecutive championships. And so we tied them in 95, and then in 96, we pulled it off. And then a year, that was my senior year. And then a year after that, they won one more time consecutively. So we have 11, which is the record. Still the record
It's
to this
still
day.
the record to this day.
Yes.
11 consecutive
national championships.
national championships. And altogether, how many championships does LSU women's track have?
We have 32 national championships. Out of the
What, girl?
52, Louisiana State University has 52 national championships. Our track and field program has 32 of those. So when you see on my page and I kind of go after, like ESPN and all of them about
because they never give them the credit. Yeah. Never.
And that is not downplaying anything that Oklahoma has done or any of the other schools, because there's a mad respect. If you can pull it off 1 year and then pull it off again. My friend Michael Holloway just won his 3rd back-to-back championships. So this is nothing to sneeze at by any stretch of the imagination. And when you've been an athlete and a coach, you have a new appreciation for what you actually did when you're a coach, for them to pull together the different personalities, keep everybody healthy, being able to keep us all motivated to working towards one goal. It is not an easy task. And so I always give so much respect to all of the coaches who really took care of us. Pat Henry being our head coach, Myrtle Ferguson, who was my sprint coach for my first couple of years, and then Dennis Shaver, who's now the head coach and was our sprint coach at the time. It's not an easy task. So I remember my first year coaching, I called Pat and was like, "I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Like I just apologize for just being me. Because it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot.
It's a lot.
It is.
It's a lot. It's a lot. I came back to track. This was my 2nd year, and it was so frustrating. It was so frustrating. Yeah. And but it is what it is. So another fun fact that people need to know, as far as you coaching, is that you were the first African American, Black, whatever y'all want to, however y'all want to say it, coach, period, at Vanderbilt University.
Yes, that was a very cool opportunity. I was at TCU when the opportunity came available. And I had been at TCU for about 3.5 years, and I was an assistant coach there under Daryl Anderson, who is a fantastic track and field coach and had known me since I had been an athlete. And so the opportunity came at Vanderbilt, and I interviewed for it. And they were, at the time, it was a lot of mystery around what Vanderbilt was. Were they an athletic department? Were they not an athletic department? They took that whole title thing away and titles. But it was an extraordinary opportunity. For what everybody thinks of Vanderbilt at the time, what they didn't know was that the head athletic director, was also the legal counsel for the campus, was an African American man. His senior women's his senior women's administrator, Candace Lee, who is now the AD at Vanderbilt. She was a senior women's administrator. My boss, my direct, Kevin Colin, African American male. So there was a lot of diversity within Vanderbilt that people just didn't know about. They just didn't know because it was Vanderbilt. So it was really interesting when I sat in people's living rooms and talked to recruits and got them on campus, and they could kind of see a little bit more of what Vanderbilt was really like and the opportunity. And it's still one of the top, I think still in the top 10 schools in the country as far as academics are concerned.
So yes, in academics. I think Vanderbilt is like getting in, it's like an Ivy school when it
Yeah.
comes to trying to get in there,
Right.
which is why they do kind of have a hard time with with recruiting, and why their athletic program aren't kind of comparable to the other SEC schools.
And
is that safe to say?
It is, but I think it's changing. I think due to the parity with the transfer portal, I think a lot of kids are seeing kind of the other side of things and understanding that, yeah, football is great, but once I finish football, I still want to be a doctor. And if I want to be a doctor when I finish, there's only a couple schools that are going to allow me to really focus on that and prepare myself for that. And Vanderbilt is one of those rare places that is just exceptional in so many different areas for their academics. So it's a great school. And like I said, I had kids come in, who left as lawyers, who are now doctors.
Oh, wow.
In all spectrums. And so it's gratifying to kind of see them move forward in things outside of athletics.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. And I love it. And so, but this is the thing. They've only had 3 other Black coaches since you left.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And now there aren't any.
Yes, so I've heard. So I came in, and then they brought in Franklin right after me.
Yeah, who's now the head coach at
Penn State. And then we had, was it Stottmeyer? Not Stottmeyer.
Yeah.
No.
The basketball player. What's his name?
Basketball coach. And yeah, he's just gone. And we also had another football coach in there.
Yeah, who's now at MTSU.
Yeah. So it started the snowball, but it was, again,
the only female they've hired.
Yeah.
I love it.
I do too. And actually, right now, Thea Thomas, who is the head coach at Vanderbilt, is doing a phenomenal job. Like she's had more kids get to the NCAA championships, indoor and outdoors, than a bunch of us combined all together. So Thea's doing such a fantastic job down there, and so very proud of her. And she's a Tiger, so she graduated from LSU. So it's a family thing.
I love how close knit y'all are, and you know what? And I love the legacy that your daughter went there and graduated from there too. I thought that was just amazing. That was one of the things with Ty going to Kentucky. We was like, oh my God, the legacy part of it was just unbelievable and just fun to see him following his dad's footsteps. So Coach, what was the hardest part of coaching?
The hardest part of coaching is it was really convincing the kids that they could be as good. I think it used to always kind of make me mad a little bit upset when kids were like, well, coach, it's just easy for you. All of this just came so easy for you, and you can do this without even thinking. And I would literally have to tell them, was like, if you talk to my coaches, my first 2 years were train wrecks. Like I was not good at anything. I wasn't on track, in the weight room, nutrition wise. I was classes. I wasn't doing good on any level. So no, this didn't come easy. I just kind of dug my heels in to decided, I'm too far away from home. This is too big of an opportunity for me to mess up. So I just had to figure out a lot of different areas. Academic wise, I was not a strong student. And so I struggled there. And then you go from being number one in the state of Ohio and ranked in the US your senior year in high school, and then you come to LSU, and on the right of you is an Olympian, and on the left of you is another Olympian, and on their right is another SEC championship. And so the mentality is very different. It's just very different. And so my first couple years there were struggles. But and any of my coaches will tell you that, and I don't hide that fact from people, because again, and like I didn't try to hide it from my girls, like I struggled. So this isn't, no, it doesn't come easy. The same things that y'all are doing as things that I was doing and struggled doing until I got, proficient at it. So it's going to take time. But that was probably the hardest thing. I was young enough at the time that I could still kind of relate to them. And I could be around them. It was energizing to actually be around them, because I got to still be in the sport that I loved without me having to train every day, which was great.
Right. Absolutely. Right.
So,
your first as a head coach was Dayton?
At Dayton. And that was for me going home. I'm born and raised in Cincinnati. So Dayton.
Right. So that was just so you can get closer to back home. Okay. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yep. And I'd been there 3.5 years, and there was a couple of job opportunities that came available. And then TCU had come available, and Daryl gave me a call and said, I want you to come down and work with me in the female sprinters, which was amazing. I had been aware of TCU because when we were in school and we were running, they're kind of like our equal as far as sprint programs was concerned. So we're talking to, Doc Patton, John Drummond, all of those names, Rashawn Carter, all came out of TCU when we were there. So I was familiar with them and the legacy there. And like I said, after being there 3.5 years, I got the opportunity to go to Vandy. And that's the last time I coached collegiate track and field.
So why didn't you go back to collegiate track and field?
My last year, it started with probably within my first year at Vanderbilt. My boss, who at the time was Kevin Colin, who was a executive director for Vanderbilt, and my direct boss. I just admired him so much, and everything that he brought to just our interactions and what he thought our program could be and why they brought me in. And he used to tell me all the time, he was like, make me tell you no. You're going to keep bringing me in kids that, Vanderbilt might say these aren't really Vanderbilt kids, but I want you to keep bringing me to me, because eventually I'm going to have to tell you yes.
Right.
And so I just kept doing it. And I had never heard anyone say that to me like that. Like, keep making me tell you no, keep it, because you never know when I'm going to say yes. And so within the last year, when I was ready to kind of start a family and do different things, I knew I didn't want to coach. I had done it for long enough to know the time that it had taken away from my girls and me being away. And so I wanted to get on the administrative side. Another reason was I had seen at that time, there were a lot of Black female coaches, but I didn't see too many Black female administrators. And so I wanted to be on that side of the desk, making decisions that more deeply affected our athletes and how our athletes saw us. And so I went back to school, got my master's in sports administration, and my first job out was a compliance director at Seattle Pacific for Division II school. Not my favorite job as far as the compliance book, but it's a great position to start.
It definitely.
You have to know the rules.
You gotta know the rules in order to be able to be in administration, so that you're not breaking the rules.
Yes.
Right. So that probably was a good foundation.
And because when you're a coach, if you don't know a rule, you just go down to the compliance office and be like, can I do? Can I do? And so they would come to me and be like, can I do? And I'm like, let's go look in the book and see if you can do. So it was a great position to start with, but that book ain't nothing nice. And so it didn't really fit my personality. And another opportunity came available, which would have been the head athletic director for the city, for Tacoma Public School System, which was huge. thoroughly enjoyed that. And so now I'm back into athletics here in the state of Texas, and I'm loving it to death.
Oh, I bet, because you're at a private school, right?
I'm at a private school, Keystone School here in San Antonio. From K through 12 is about 500 students total. But it is the top lower, middle, and upper school here in the city of San Antonio. So the academics is phenomenal.
Okay, I love it. So I'm trying to think where I want to go, because I don't have a script. Who were you talked about people that paved the way for you, and you talked about people that you kind of ran against. Who when you went into a race, whether it was an NCAA or whether it was preparing for the Olympics or in the Olympics, that when you seen them coming, you was like, this. Here she comes, because she stretched you, because she made you, she forced you to really just dig deep and pull every gut up out of you in order to perform. Who was that person?
So I'm at the time. I'd sit back and be like, nobody.
Right. Absolutely.
Nobody, because I was that person to a lot.
You were that person to everybody else.
I was that person to a lot of people. So when I was coming in, it wasn't anybody like that. I had the enormous thrill of running with Gwen Torrance and Gail Devers. And we were the three that made it in the 96 team. And so people were like, were those your icons? Were those the people that you admired? I was like, no, because I got to get in the lane next to them. Yeah. So there's a level of respect.
Right.
You can't be scared of them. And so there wasn't really anybody that I was like concerned with. By the time I had won the my first 100 meters, I was like, whatever. I'm
right.
I'm in this lane too. What we gonna do? and I think that's part of the mentality of why we were able to be as successful as we were, because it was a lot of us with that same thought process. Like, they didn't really enjoy us seeing us come, and so that was part of the fun of being a part of that type of program.
And I think that's where I want to go with this, is because in this day and age, you can't coach that.
No.
You can't coach that mentality.
No.
Where does that mentality come from? I mean, I know you have to have a talent, and your talent just kind of has to speak for itself. But so I had a kid this year that won the 100-meter hurdles last year as a 7th grader at state. This year, this little joker act like he don't have to show up to no practices. He
got beside himself. He already knew he was
himself. He was smelling himself. I'm telling him, I told him at the beginning, I said, okay, this is the beginning of where you got to work even harder, because now everybody's coming for you, because now you just set the standard to where everybody else has to measure themselves as far as being able to get to the measure, because now they have to figure out how to beat you next year. And so, but that means you can't slack, because that means if they're putting in the work, they're going to close that gap between where you are and where they were, and you're going to end up getting beat. And it happened. And it was and it probably needed to happen, because it was a big wake up call for him. And so that but at the same time, I had to I kind of got insecure as a coach, because I'm like, how do I teach that mentality? Like, I told him, but I missed the ball as far as, because he didn't get it. I missed the ball as far as like, how do I instill that into my athletes about that winning mentality, to where they understand, and not only do they understand, but they take the action to do what is necessary to take it to the next level and to always be better. Coach, where does that come from?
For us, it came from, like I said, within our group. We were probably harder on ourselves as a team than anybody could have ever been on us. And when I say hard on us, I mean, like, I joke around all the time. I say, you put, 10 or 15 girls together and from September to June and be like, y'all got to work together. That's going to be interesting because that's still all the different personalities
And we're women.
And we're women. Let's be honest.
Let's be honest.
And so we were really hard on each other in practices, and we held each other accountable. And so we were accountable to the person on our relays. We were accountable to the person who did multi-events. We were accountable to the jumpers. They were accountable to sprinters. So it was the accountability factor for us that I think really held us together for as long as it did. And also, to be quite honest, we just didn't want to be the team to lose. Like once you start that tradition,
of winning,
like 5 or 6.
So y'all were at what? So when you got there your freshman year, because you didn't run your freshman year. So obviously they won your freshman year, even though you were there. You just didn't run your freshman year, right?
Correct.
So what number were they on at that time? Because you said y'all got.
I was for 10, 9, and 8. So 7. They were 7 at that point. 7 at that point. And so I wasn't trying to be on the team to lose. I was not. Yeah. No, I ain't gonna be that team. I don't want to be that team. I don't want it to end on my watch. I don't want to have them come looking at me like, why you didn't? Because that's the kind of group that we had. Like we come to you and people be like, what the heck was you thinking? Why didn't what was you thinking? So for us, it was that pride of not wanting to be on the team that lost.
Oh wow, that's huge.
Oh yeah, it was huge. It also came with a lot of stress. Like I can tell you, my teammates that year in '96, it was a big year because we just come off World Championships and this was an Olympic year. It was our senior year and we were trying to pull off number 10. So we were all like clicking on different cylinders. Like we were just clicking on all cylinders. And so for us to be able to go in and be competitive, we, like I said in one of the interviews I had, like, we went in counting points. We knew where our points were coming from, and when they didn't happen, we had to pick up the pace somewhere and how we're going to pick up these points. So we were very accountable to each other as far as what we did as a team.
That's huge. And you brought up Coach Holloway that just got his 3rd in a row or 4th in a row?
Third in a row.
And, and then OU women's softball just got her 4th in a row. And I was just looking at them, and I'm not gonna lie and say that I'm not. We're getting all this press about somebody not making the Olympic team, but then nobody's talking about these 2 coaches that have done a phenomenal feat, and I don't hear it's crickets.
Yeah, well, track and field it's never important to the mainstream until it is Olympic year.
Until it's Olympic time.
Then everybody wants to pay attention, and everybody knows so much about track and field. They ain't watched it since the last 4 years. Since last time it was an Olympics, and so everybody got something to say, and everybody has their opinions. But not to downplay what Caitlin is doing, because it's awesome. There are more people in that league than just her that are doing awesome things. And so I think a lot of the fuss, see, now we off track. A lot of the fuss is because these are people who are new to the sport of basketball and never knew that it's always been aggressive. It's always been. We've always had
ballers that were just as good as she was. I mean, the only thing that she's doing differently is she's shooting from half court.
Right.
That's it. Because she's not playing no defense. She creates a problem and then wants to play the victim when. Never mind. We're not gonna go there.
We're gonna say, we're gonna get it because we'll let it go. But yes, it's just, I think a lot of the confusion comes just from people that are new to the sport.
That are new, and I'm so thankful that she brought all these new eyes to the sport and to women's sports.
Yes, and 2 things can be true at the same time. She can be a great athlete and bring eyes to it, and still need improvement, still need to grow, still need to learn the game at that level and how it's played. 2 things can be true at the same time. So she'll be fine. Like everybody said,
I said the same thing. I said, she needs to get in the weight room and, work on her handles and and learn how to play some defense. And I think, you won't be able to touch her in a year or two, depending on how much work she puts in the off season. So let's talk about that part of it. You've already kind of touched on it though, Coach, but I just think, the people that I think are watching are people that, where they have kids that are coming up, and that next level ain't no joke.
No,
it's no joke. When you're going from high school to college.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
And I can only speak to it from my standpoint, which was 30 years ago. So
but that has changed.
It was 30.
It's actually way more probably competitive now. They're faster, stronger. There are way more resources.
And the opportunities between, like when we talked about before with the transfer portal and NILs and all that world, things are just so very different now. And so I think that's part of the reason why I'm glad I'm not into coaching right now, is because it's just, I'm like Nick Saban. I don't want to have to deal with all that. Just, pay my quarterback or pay my fourth leg on my 4x1 $50,000, and where I'm gonna find the backer for that, and all of those different things, because all this money, there ain't a whole bunch going to non-revenue sports. So if it ain't football, basketball, there's not a whole lot of money for it. So it's so many different things. But yeah, making it to that level is a definite step up. But I think these kids are more prepared than we ever were, because we were students and we were athletes who we played 3 different sports. We probably played something in the fall, you play something in the winter, and you were playing something in the spring. Now we've gotten to the point where we specialize kids very early on in their development, which I am not a big fan of. I understand the why, to get them the exposure and all those different things. But I just think it's better if you just let the kids enjoy for as long as it is enjoyable before we start making this into a job.
Right. And then I think the whole specialization, I think you're more likely for injury because, you're not giving, you're just the same. It's like me I work working at a factory, and not everything hurts because it's just repetitive all the time. And I think that, when you specialize too early, that's not a good thing. So I have a guest, and I'm gonna go back, and he asked some of the other ones. He said, at what age should young girls start training for track? He says his 11-year-old granddaughter has to be. As she's 11 years old, she's at middle school, and I know I'm not supposed to be recruiting, but you need to bring her over to Crawford and let me train her.
Just a little plug, just putting it out there.
But Coach, that's a good question though, Coach. When is it too young?
You know what? I've had teammates of mine who started their kids at like 5 or 6 years old. But they also played other sports. Track is one of those universal ones where it helps with everything else. Yes. So we are the universal athlete. So when you work on speed and you work on coordination and all of those different things, that you can see that when they're on the football field, you can see that when they're on basketball, you can see that when they play soccer. So it's never too early for them to start training and learning how to run and run correctly. But again, specialization at 11 might be just a bit early, and it may not be the quickest way to kill it in a kid is to make it a job. That's the quickest way to kill it. And when it starts becoming something that they have to do. I think that really takes the fun out of it, and it limits and it shortens the amount of time that they're actually going to be track athletes.
So yeah, Ty did 3 sports through middle school, and then when he hit high school, he did choose and he did drop basketball because basketball would always overlap with baseball. And so I think the last year he played basketball, it took him a lot longer to get his timing down going into baseball. And so then that year after, when his freshman year, then they were done with basketball. And so then during basketball season,
either one of them. He didn't even go to school in either one of them. See, that's
And then he didn't go. And then he chose football and didn't do basketball or baseball. Absolutely right. And so and he could have did baseball, but again, that's one of the things that I think a lot of parents probably need to know. He never got any baseball offers because baseball doesn't offer full ride unless you're a pitcher throwing 100-mile-an-hour fastballs, right? And so he never got the baseball offers because they knew they couldn't compete, because all of his football offers were D1 Power 5 offers. They weren't D2 or D3 where they might have been a partial scholarship or anything like that. They were full rides, and so it was difficult for the baseball scouts to do that. But what I did like with that, and I'm saying this so that parents can kind of just get a general idea when they start going through recruiting process. There were a couple of schools that were like, well, we'll allow you, or, if you want to play baseball, we don't have a problem with you coming here and playing baseball, because now the baseball team gets a free walk-on while the football team pays for the scholarship. But that was an incentive that some schools did use to try to lure him to come to their program. So I just want to put that out there for those parents that that are looking at that, because the transfer portal right now, I oh my goodness,
it's a lot.
We had a conversation, but it's a lot. We had a conversation before before we started about the transfer portal, and I think one of the things that the transfer portal, it's not what everybody thinks it is. It's not just kids that well, I don't, I'm not getting no playing time, so I'm gonna go someplace where I think I can play. That's part of it, another part of it is I'm too far away from home. And let me see if I can try to find something closer to home, because you get away. How much of that was, of course, we're talking about you went from Cincinnati, Ohio to Louisiana. How hard was that for you? Back 30 years ago. So I can't imagine.
I was trying to get out. I had figured out, and here's the thing. Like you said, I'm born and raised in Cincinnati, Ohio. So as I was going through like freshman year in high school, everybody wants to go to the Ohio State. You want to go to the state school. You want to go to the state school. And at the time they had a legendary program for track and field. The coach, Coach West, was legendary. By my junior or sophomore year, that's when oh gosh, I can't think of his name, and I can see him with the eyes. The quarter miler was huge, and that's gonna because he's got a documentary coming up. So I wanted to go to the Ohio State, and then as I continued on, I got sick of the weather. I was like, why is it May and I'm still running?
It's still cold.
It's still
cold. Or still snowing. Or
it's cold. And so by the time I got to my junior year, a lot of the schools had found out and heard that like she ain't going nowhere cold. She's going to go somewhere warm. So I took 4 visits. I took one to Illinois, and Tanja Buford Bailey was my host there. I went to Indiana. I had a male friend of mine who had from another school in Cincinnati. He was there. He was my host when I went to Indiana. I went to Tennessee. And my dad loved Tennessee. It was the right amount of distance from, like, I could be across Cincinnati. He needed to get his hands on me. 75. Get his hands on me. It was a popular program. I mean, they had done some really great things. And then I visited LSU. And I knew nothing about LSU at the time. As we discussed, by the time I had got there, they were already winning. So, and for not to know anything about them, I went down, and on my visit, it pretty much locked me in. Like, I had never been around anything like that, had never seen anything like that. And so, yeah, I left. My mother always instilled in me, even growing up, that I travel and I like to travel. And so she never wanted us to be that, oh, I got to stay close to home and I can't leave and go far. My mother's like, y'all get on a plane and go. This is and to follow your dream if that's what you want to do. And if you want to be in Louisiana, then go be in Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was never any. Now my father, like I said, was different. he was kind of disappointed about Tennessee, but as it went on and as my career kind of took off, he understood why I needed to be there.
Gotcha. Was Sharifa Barksdale? When did she come around? Was she in Tennessee at that time?
That name sounds familiar.
Or you, Sharifa? You might not know Sharifa. She's here. And she's a legend out of Tennessee. She went to Tennessee, and I can't remember when she came out. I know I've invited her on, but we haven't been able to coordinate her coming on. But she was at Tennessee, so she's the only one that I know that was at Tennessee running track. And I was thinking if y'all were there if y'all were competing at the same time, but she did hurdles, so you guys wouldn't have.
Oh yeah, no, I don't deal with the barriers. I don't deal with the barriers. No, I need straight shots, maybe a turn here and there, but you're not gonna jump over anything.
That is hilarious. So the next level. What was it? Okay. Do you remember the day, the last time you put on a pair of spikes?
Last time I put on a pair of spikes? No, I don't. I don't remember the day. I don't remember the day. It was one of those, I think we had a very unique experience, and at the time you're just in the moment and you're kind of living through it. But I think part of the amount of success we had at LSU made it really difficult for us to want to replicate that past college. And I'm not saying a bunch of us ran track after we got done with college and ran professionally for a couple years. There's still some people to this day that I'm like, y'all still running, huh? But for us to replicate that success, it becomes on you. It's incumbent upon you to want it. It's not about a team success. It's not about team practices. It has to be that inner drive. And I think we had accomplished so much success that the thought of having to continue to do those things, to do that, to be that successful, I was like, nah, that's fine.
So you were good. You were good.
Yeah, but I was good. I
just know that there are people that go through a depression that they have to create a new identity for themselves because they only identify in who they were in that success as an athlete. And so once that's gone, it's tough for them. It's tough for them. Right?
But I think track is a different type of sport for that because there's so few and far opportunities outside of college. For you to have that type of success. For football and basketball, you hear about, role players cannot find the joy of life anymore. Track and field, we knew it was going to be an end after 40 years. And if you didn't make an Olympic team, Nike wasn't looking at you, then that was the end of it and you were going to have to find something else to do. So I think track is very different in that type of reality. Everyone who I came through with, like none of us held on to that. We had to be on the track. Like it just was never something that, and as females, we wanted to start going off and having families and having outside of things. So it was just very different for us, I think.
Okay, good. Mr. Brown has some really good. Mr. Brown's like one of my favorite people that comes on here and asks.
What's he got?
So he said, female track athletes are great examples of abstaining from PED and rely on their natural ability. I totally agree with that. But how hard is that though? When you see, I think, we see a couple of people that I don't think they not intentionally got caught up in it, but trusting people giving them things. And I thought that was kind of unfortunate for some people that kind of went through that. And you said the Arkansas female team just finished wonderful. I thought that was huge. And the 400,
you know how hard that is. That is huge. That is huge. There's no doubt about that. And the way they did it, And the way they did it was phenomenal. And just like, I don't think that's happened too often. We did it. We went 1, 2, 3 in the 200 in 96. So Zundra, myself, and Astia Walker, we went 1, 2, 3 in the 200.
Mm-hmm.
That's just 3 spots. That's not even 4. They went 4 straight spots, and it was not close. And it was fun. The number of points they won that meet off of that alone. That those points were just like, there's nothing you can do with that. There's nothing you can do with that. And you bring them back. You bring back 3 of them for your 4x4, not all 4. You bring back 3. So they threw another body in there for their 4x4. That's how that program is. That's how deep that program is.
Wow. He said, do you think the Jamaican female track team trained differently as they have dominated in recent track events?
I don't think they train differently. I think that they've had their opportunities over the last couple of years, and where we've kind of taken a step back, and now it's kind of reemerging us in the 100 and the 200, and their stars are getting a little bit older and ready to move on and do other things.
Because so I saw where this is the last Olympics for
a little bit. I was calling her a little bit.
Yeah, I can't think of her name right now, but I know. Yeah, I see her face and her hair.
Yep. So, and this is her last, but she's been at the top for the last 4 or 5 Olympics. So it's time. It's time. She's been around for a lot longer if you start looking at the numbers and what she's accomplished. Mm-hmm. So it's, I don't think they train any differently than us. I don't think it's anything. People like, is it in the plantains? No, I don't think it's any of that stuff. I just think that the kids now are just getting stronger faster than they have been in the past.
And I just some people are, like for me, I tore both ACLs out of high school, and and sometimes you just it's just a fluke, right? Yeah. And there's an injury. And so I'm thinking the year that LSU lost or finally didn't win, the first thing that thought of my mind was, I bet you they had a bunch of injuries.
So that was.
Do you even remember?
No. See, look here. After once we finished,
that was like 3-4 years after you before they lost.
Yeah. And so the year after, I actually went to the meet the year after. I went to number 11 where we had pulled it out, and that year we won by 1 point. 1 point. Oh. And throughout the 11 years, there were closer ones than others. Like there had been times when we'd only won by like 5 points. Then there'd be times we'd win by like 20. So you had a collage of different reasons. But I don't remember why that team, I don't know if we weren't as deep as we had been in the past years. You always have to deal with injuries. I mean, my sophomore year, I twisted my ankle the week before before NCAAs, and so those are things that you just have to deal with. Right. But I wouldn't be able to pinpoint the exact reason why they weren't able to pull out number 12. Well, I won't be able to pinpoint that.
Oh, I would hate to be the one that was on top.
Yeah, and that was the thought process.
Don't nobody remember who you are, or maybe they do because you did lose it. Or maybe they do because you didn't lose it, So,
but regardless to us, they all still family. They're like we love
that. Oh, yeah.
We love them, no matter what. Now we're gonna critique. We're gonna be hard. We're harder on them probably than they could ever be on anybody else. But it's part of who we are.
What's the most common injury in track?
Oh, the hamstrings and quads, and because like we said, they have gotten so much stronger and they've gotten so much faster. But if you have the right physical training group and department, they make sure that they're well kept, that they're taken care of. Downtimes, rehabs for different things, like the rehab systems that a lot of these universities have right now is so
unbelievable.
So they was just taping us up and giving us Advil and all kinds of foolishness, and now they got like yes, it's a completely different world. The nutrition that they have is very different. And we came from the era of we had athletic dorms. So we always ate the athletic cafeteria when you were an athlete. But even then, it wasn't nowhere close to what these kids have now. And that just shows, the knowledge and that we've gained from knowing how to take care of our bodies a lot better than they did back then.
I love it. He said, oh, this is cute. He said, Flojo introduced glamour to female sports way before Angel Reese did. Angel Reese.
Yes, Miss Reese. Look here, I'll ride and die with her till the wheels fall off. So y'all, you can't say too much to me about
Angel Reese.
Nah, because what you ain't gonna do. Right. Same thing with Sha'Carri. What you ain't gonna do is sit here and try to down these young Black females who are the face of athletics right now. And no, we're not gonna do that. We're not. We just don't allow it. No, we shut it down.
So I went to go see Jay. For my birthday, I was in Chicago, and she got me courtside seats, and I got to be, I wanted to get a picture, and I was mad this year. I don't know where I was the year before, this year because LSU played everywhere but here at Kentucky this year. I was so mad.
Yeah. Those were hard. This year was hard tickets to come by for them. Like you couldn't. It was hard getting tickets.
I was trying to go to Vandy. I looked up. I was going to drive to Vandy just to go watch LSU because that was like the only closest place within driving distance that they were even coming, and I almost drove to Vandy just to go watch an LSU game because I wanted to watch them up close and personal. I knew I was going to see South Carolina because they were on the schedule. So I don't know. So the SEC has been dominant for years, and I think it's dominant in football. It's dominant in women's basketball. I don't know. I really, if Kentucky's acting right, it could be dominant in men's basketball. But it's always dominated in track and field, and it's always dominated in baseball. And so there's a lot of people that just really, really hate on the SEC. But I think one of the things that I liked about Ty coming, that he was good. Number one, that he was good enough to play in the SEC. That Kentucky wanted him as much as we wanted to go to Kentucky. That they wanted him just as much, and we were just very fortunate for that. And I think that's part of the transfer portal thing is that, this is what I just learned. I did not know for football. Answer me this if it's true for other sports. In football, you can transfer in the fall, but you can't. But if you transfer in the spring, like right now, if they wanted to transfer, you can't go to the SEC school.
I don't know what the new SEC rules have been around when they allow you to transfer and when you have I've been far enough away from the college world that I don't know those rules like that. It would not shock me because what they haven't done and what is going to happen over the next couple of years is they've got to figure out a way to how they want to handle this portal, because what they've shown is that right now it's kind of like the wild, wild west. Yes. And so they've got to figure out a way to kind of reel in a lot of the inconsistencies and a lot of the issues they're having. It's not going anywhere. Let's all be clear. The transfer portal is not going anywhere, but how we interact with it, how it works, how the students use it, there's going to be some mandates that come down to kind of reel it in. So it doesn't surprise me. And the SEC, for all the people that hate the SEC so much, they hate because we lead in so many different areas. Absolutely. And we lead because those are the type of athletes they want to be a part of, that type of legacy to come through whatever program they are, whether it be Florida swim program or the LSU track and field program or the Alabama football program or the Kentucky basketball program. Those are things that you just can't bypass
Right.
and look over, because the legacy of those programs is fresh and it's very much alive. And so, yeah, you want to be in the if you want to play big time ball, then this is where you want to be.
You want to be in the SEC, absolutely, hands down. And then when you look at the draft, at all the drafts, SEC players dominate the MLB and the NFL. Oh heck, and the WNBA as well. So I like that too. Sharon, my girl Sharon's on here till the wheels fall off. We Angel Reese ride or die till the wheels fall off. You hear us?
Till the wheels fall off. Till the wheels fall off.
And I'm not saying nothing that again, I love Caitlin Clark. I can't wait until, I think I said that on a post to somebody, that I can't wait till she learns how to play defense. I can't wait until she changes her little attitude a little bit and not have that entitlement type of mentality where, every time somebody touch her, that it's a foul, but then you can push off on people, and then you can't go and elbow people and hit them all up in the head. And then when they come in and elbow you and hit you to the ground, now you want to play the victim. You can't do that anymore, Caitlin. She can't do that. And that's the only thing I'm asking for her fans. Is y'all gotta stop. They gotta stop whining about.
It's year one. It's year one. Can we just listen, everybody take a breath?
My daughter Jayla told me, she said you should come up with a part of your show where I pull a yellow flag out. This is my yellow flag moment. We call it 15-yard penalty. It's a safety. It's an illegal shift. It's whatever it is on.
I need everybody to just take a breath. Everybody take a breath.
Do a
give this girl an opportunity to get in and get her toes in, put her foot in before y'all just be like, well, they just treating her bad and it's her against. No. Y'all need to just, it's a growth process. And
she did not see any competition until she got to the Final Four.
Yep.
I don't care what you say. They don't play nobody. She didn't play nobody. If she would have been playing in the SEC, she would have got shut down, just like Raven shut her down in the championship game. Because there would have been other players, and that's what she's seeing now in the WNBA. They are ballers. They are true ballers, and they are not.
And there's no fear in them.
Let you just pull 4 points on them.
Looking at her like, oh my gosh, I've got to be concerned. Ain't nobody looking at her like that. They're like, fresh meat. She ain't strong enough to hold this. Let me put an elbow in, and she gonna learn some elbows this season. She gonna learn some elbows. So,
but she probably wouldn't get the elbows if she wasn't throwing them.
But we ain't seeing all
and that's that. That's the part that don't nobody want to talk about. They don't want to talk about all the time. Listen, I'm gonna go all the way back to the NCAA championship when they were playing West Virginia had them beat, and the refs allowed Iowa to get back into the game, and that's when I felt like the whole thing was rigged. Because I felt like all the calls were going in her favor because they had an agenda that they wanted this girl to win her championship, and
she just ran up against the buzzsaw that is Dawn Staley. So,
but they should have lost that West Virginia game, and then they should have lost the LSU game because there was some suspect calls in that game too.
Man,
suspect like Stevie Wonder. Really,
but I'm honest enough to be like, there were suspect calls on both sides. Like there were some calls against them. I was like, I didn't see that, but okay. If you say that's a travel, okay, that was just like a bad. The calls for that game were just bad all the way around. It was just bad all the way around.
Yeah. I'm missing the course, and the Heisman Trophy winners come from the SEC. They do.
All do, and they do.
Sharon said, people think you got to hate Caitlin to support anyone else. These people got to run this girl in the ground before she even gets started. I agree. I agree. My hope is that she's got people around her that are deflecting all of this noise.
And she just needs to focus on being a rookie, learning the game, getting stronger, and being ready to go, and not listening to all of this noise around her. And that's part of whoever her team is, making sure that, you know, she's not hearing all of this. Like, just keep doing what you're doing. And I hope that what she dealt with in college prepared her a little bit for this, as far as the media and all of the eyes being on her. So really, it's going to be making sure her team just kind of keeps her focused on what's really going on and what's important.
I think the thing that made me upset about the whole Olympic snub was she didn't try out. She was still playing. So y'all wanted the team to create a new rule just for her, to just put her on the team because that was it for me. Mm-hmm. That she never went to the tryout to see whether or not she was even a fit with the rest of the players or whatever like that. And then we got players like what's her name, Rain, out of Atlanta. She just got the record for most threes as the youngest player, and she didn't even make the Olympic team. And I felt like she was probably just as good as being on there too. I think there's a lot of other girls that were just as good to be on the team, and they didn't make the Olympic team either. And I just think it's a different beast when it comes to, I mean, again, when they put you on the Olympic team, they knew they was putting the beast on there.
It's a selection process. Like, yes. This is not, and I seen today the committee come out and say, we didn't pick people depending on how many clicks,
how many people, yes, how many people was going to show up and how many people were going to watch.
Who can play. Like, you have to pick the position. Like, you cannot just pick, oh, well, this person's got this many followers or this, that, and the other. I understand we are trying to market this sport, but they put together a team that Kalila Cooper, it fits well with all the other ones that are on that team, with the girls from the Aces. Like, there's a reason, there's a rationale behind it. And there's a reason why you at home on your couch is not making these decisions. There's a people we put together for that. There's a committee we put together, and they have a little bit more knowledge than our armchair coaches that everybody wants to be.
And if Dawn Staley is the coach, and I think that pissed me off too. I'm sorry to say that, when they were trying to make it seem, trying to throw Dawn under the bus, like she had something to do with her not playing. Dawn had always given Caitlin her flowers every time. I mean, she was like, okay, how many she scored? Because she's
right. Because Dawn is about the game. Because Dawn is about the game.
And she's about winning. So you mean to tell me if Dawn has something to do with being on the coaching staff and she's a winner, you actually think she's going to intentionally leave her off so that they can't win? That's not going to happen.
Some people just want to hold on. They gotta grasp for something to make it make sense. But if anyone knows how Dawn has operated in these last 2 years, especially this year when she won and she beat them in the championship, and how she recognized her in their championship speech, you would know better. You just have to know who Dawn is, and that's not how she operates.
Absolutely. So that kind of, don't come for Dawn. So, do you feel the coach is not doing her job? I know the coach was pissed the other day when she said, I shouldn't have to coach effort. But she was also talking about defense. And so, I think a lot of people, a lot of the Caitlin Clark fans that don't, not only is she leading the league in turnovers, but go back and look at how many points the person that she's guarding is scoring. Because she's not shutting nobody down.
But was she shutting people down in college?
No.
Okay, just checking. I didn't think so.
No, she don't play no defense, none.
I didn't think so.
So yeah, right. Okay. So again, if y'all really want to, you talking to, I am a basketball coach, so I can talk about this. Yeah, I did play the game. I can talk about it, right? And so you're not getting ready to argue with me about, I'm not going to argue with the fact that she's not a phenomenal player. we're not going to argue the fact that we are absolutely elated that we've got all these new millions and millions of viewers and viewership on the WNBA. We are absolutely, they just came out with a whole bunch of stats that, you know, of games and stuff, and all of it was the Caitlin effect. Thank you, girl. Thank you. Thank you. Y'all got the charter planes.
But there's 20 other teams. But there's 20 other teams. You're not this.
But there's 20 other teams, you know, and just like Angel said, we all got a place in that, because I'm gonna tell you right now, I was at the Sky game and Caitlin was not there, and that place was rocking. It was jam-packed. Matter of fact, when we pulled up, it was raining, and people were lined up around the building waiting to get in that building. Yeah. And there was and that was to go see Angel Reese. And whoever else, because they were playing Seattle. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, I still love me some Skylar Diggins, so they might have been coming to see Skylar. They might have been coming to see.
Stewie is still out there, and Stewie is still out there in Seattle, right? So like,
no, Stewie's in Los Angeles now.
Oh,
in New York now.
Yeah,
but Agumake is now in Seattle. You know, and then Jewel Lloyd is one of the best players right now, and she's at Seattle. You know, they've got some. They got some ballers. Seattle had a good team. I mean, they beat the Sky, but they got a squad. Right. They got a great team. Right. You know, I think that I think that the Sky just won. I think my girl coming back, I think it's going to make a difference. But Williams got injured, so Williams was their other big center for the Sky. Right, she's injured, but now that should put Carmela, what's her name?
I know you're talking about.
Of course, I know her name is whatever her name is, from South Carolina. Her and Angel in at the same time, because now she's coming back from an injury, so they both should be getting ample time now that Williams has gotten injured, and I think she's out like 4 to 6 weeks because I think she tore something. And so yeah, I don't know. Girl, I could talk about that all day, but what we're not getting ready to do, what y'all not getting ready to do is keep talking about how people are disrespecting Caitlin Clark. Ain't nobody disrespecting Caitlin Clark. Ain't nobody hating on Caitlin Clark, and nobody does not like Caitlin Clark, especially the African American community. But what we have a problem with is that what you're not getting ready to do is you're not getting ready to vilify Angel Reese and Asia Wilson and all the rest of them, and or the Cheryl Swoops and the Teaspoons and the Cynthia Coopers that paved the way for you know, I'll even put Diana Taurasi in there. She's 42 years old and she's still killing it. That's why she's on the Olympic team for the 6th time.
Yep.
Because she is the GOAT. She is the legit GOAT, right? And Stewie is the GOAT. Stewie, I think Stewie might be the last one to have 4 championships in a row. Ain't nobody else in the WNBA got 4 championships in no NCAA basketball besides Stewie.
It's a hard thing to pull off. It's hard to pull off. Trust me, it is difficult to pull off. My eyes.
Yeah. I love it. Well, anyway, Coach, I'm gonna wrap this up.
Okay.
So I have this signature question that I ask.
Okay.
Is there anything that you've ever wanted to say publicly in this type of a platform that you've never had the opportunity to say? Or is there a question I probably should have asked and I didn't know to ask that you want to answer?
Wow. You should have gave me that like at the beginning and let me think that through while we was talking. The one thing that I would want people to know is that how much I've enjoyed my time because of athletics, what it has been to me and been into my life. It's given me the opportunities that I could never possibly dreamed of, friendships that have lasted over 20 years, memories that I can't even tell you how just mesmerizing my life has been because of athletics. And that is a blessing. That is a blessing. Not everybody can have those type of memories when they come off of collegiate athletics, or whether they're coached afterwards, or whatever the next field is for them. And so when people say, I believe purple and gold, I believe purple and gold, and it's because of those experiences, and it's because of those people. And I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world.
What was your most memorable moment?
Probably most memorable was my first NCAA individual championship, the 100 meters that I won in Tennessee. Just because I had worked so hard that year. And coming back after finishing third the year before, I wanted it. And so I dug in, and I didn't always have the best start. I didn't have the good start that day, but I just stayed within my lane and stayed within myself. And so that's one of the ones that I will always remember.
I love it. I love it. I think I think he had a question about the start. Hold on. I think he asked, he did. He said, here it is right here. He said, how difficult while in the starting block to resist jumping and starting the gun? What is your strategy to not jump the start?
Focus. It's a focus. When by the time you get to that time, you've done so many starts that you have to be inside yourself and know, and just take a deep breath and listen for the calls. That's all it is. It's just a concentration. It's a concentration issue. So we just have to. I usually, right before I would get into a race, I would visualize what the race would look like before I ever stepped into the blocks. And so then it's a repetitive thing. What you do when you get in the blocks, how you put yourself into the blocks, it's all just becomes just repetitive. And so that's how you get used to not the jumping. And if you're a track athlete, you're gonna miss a couple. I've been, pulled for a jump in the gun. I think I did it one time, and I didn't have to do it again. Once you do it once, you don't have to do it anymore. And I did it at SEC championship at that. So yeah, for 60 meters. So you do it once, and then you don't do it no more.
That's hilarious. Well, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. So everybody, thank y'all all for coming in and joining in. Thank you everyone that Sharon and Mr. Brown and aunties and Sherry Singleton and everybody that came on and engaged with us today and asked questions. And thank you for your support. Thank you for everyone that shared. I just wanted you all to hear and see it from a legend. Sometimes, I like giving people their flowers while they're still here. And that's the reason why I'm a part of the Lexington African American Sports Hall of Fame and their program. We have our gala. I think I got a banner on here. We have our gala on October the 22nd, on the 21st. September the 21st. September the 21st is the gala. And you can go to layshoff.com. I think I got a banner on here somewhere. There it is right there. layshoff.com and get your tickets.
And before you let me go, I want to tell you, thank you for having me. Thank you for doing this. Having people that look like us and telling our stories is always important. So thank you for sharing your time with us. It does not go unnoticed, and it is appreciated.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. That's exactly why I did it. Because the founders of the Lexington African American, that's why they founded the Lexington African American Sports Hall of Fame, because there were lots of athletes that our founder was a part of a Hall of Fame, and he didn't see a whole lot of people that looked like him at the Hall of Fame that he felt like should have been. Speaking of Hall of Fame, are you in the Ohio State, Kentucky? I mean, the Ohio High School Hall of Fame at least?
Yes. I'm in a couple.
Good. Okay, good. You should be.
I'm definitely in Ohio's
high school Hall of Fame. Okay, yeah. So here we kind of find that there's a lots of athletes that probably should be in the Hall of Fame, and they weren't getting inducted, or they weren't getting nominated or something. And so he created the African American. And it's not that we wanted to separate it. It's just that we just weren't getting, they just weren't getting recognized in the main one. So we didn't create, it's not a Kentucky African American. So it's just Lexington. So, you know, we were, you know, in our inaugural one, of course, you know, we were very fortunate to be able to put Tyson Gay in there, because Tyson Gay is from Lexington. And so, you know, just being able to see him and meet him in person, and fellowship with his family. His sister and I coached against each other in middle school track. And so I had a relationship with her, and, you know, it was just phenomenal. So that was my big plug with the Lexington African American Hall of Fame. And they also sponsor my podcast, and I appreciate them so much. And that's it. Y'all can follow us on YouTube, and y'all can follow us on Facebook. And if you missed this, you can go back. It's on Facebook and it's on YouTube, and you guys can go and rewatch it. And it's on YouTube, Coach, so you can have it forever.
Thank you.
And I love you. I appreciate you being on. Don't log off, but I am gonna go ahead and end the stream for tonight. Hey, thank you, everybody. We'll see y'all next week.